anger going on. You got people with a 360. You don't have a perimeter as an officer, could cause you for concern for officer safety. Now, I'm not justifying 8 minutes and 46 seconds with the knee on Mr. Floyd's neck, but what I am saying is that not at least a legitimate concern for a defense lawyer to bring out in terms of what these officers were observing and the way they're trained, and they're trained to protect themselves as well as the public?
Of course, I think it's extremely important to give this comprehensive view of truly what was going on at the time. Most throughout this case, the focus has been really on Chauvin and the other officers sitting on Mr. Floyd and the use of force. But what the defense attorney is doing now is saying, look, there's more to it. There's people around them, surrounding them, people behind them, people in front of them, crowds getting angry. There's other officers who are commenting about this that you can't even see and the crowd can't hear. So there's a lot of tension. I mean, it's a very tense moment or moments. And an officer has to make up his mind as far as what he needs to do. And one thing that he did sneak in is their attention was diverted because of that high stress situation and the crowd growing in number and getting angrier and angrier, basically saying that he was, distracted here because he's now at this point, it's not just about Floyd being on the ground. It's also about their safety and the safety of other officers.
To the sergeant, because she saw something that she had never seen before. And that word snitch, I didn't necessarily hear it, but apparently it must be in there somehow. I guess the inference being that she didn't want to tell on the police officers.
I mean, that's the sense I got from it. But she was, anyway, she had thought she'd seen something that was urgent or something wasn't right. She kept on saying, I can't really describe it early on. And she felt obligated to make the call to the sergeant and tell him something was just not right. And they've been sitting on this gentleman for some time and there was some use of force. I mean, it's important evidence. Obviously, this is a dispatcher, someone who listens to these incidents a lot. She did testify that she doesn't get to see them really. In this case, by coincidence, I'm not sure how it happened, but she ended up seeing and watching the incident while also handling the calls and dispatching. But it's important to have someone who's got the experience, who's listened to many of these incidents, who feels at this point that something's not right and there's a use of force. And in fact, uses the word snitch. That's not very helpful. But I can also see the defense coming back and saying, wait a minute, you really don't get to watch these. So this was one of the few times, or maybe the only time, you got to see an incident unfolding on camera. Generally, you're the one listening and you may not be hearing everything. So you're not really, your experience doesn't count as much as far as this is concerned. And it's going to be interesting to see what the criminal defense attorney is going to be doing later. But this is pretty important evidence at this point.